as you might can tell. But I want to thank Tori for volunteering me to do this because she was like, "What about Hannah?" But it's fine, and Jessica too. I'm just gonna tell my story, and before I get started, I'm like Briley. I don't want a pity party. This is not. I know she's talked about that with me before. This is not to feel sorry for me. I'm just putting it out there, like for people, like one of those on our prayer list to not give up. It'll come whenever the time is right. So I'll start off by saying, as a little girl, you are all the time playing with baby dolls, and you're thinking about what am I going to name my babies one day? And I'll never forget. She would probably be. I remember her face when I told her this. I was dating a guy named. I won't say his name, but his name started with BR, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, we're gonna name our babies Branna." That name and Hannah. I was so excited. I was in like the 6th grade. Like I just knew from day one that I wanted to be a mom. Like I didn't know what I was going to be when I grew up. I started out, I was going to be a teacher. And if anybody knows me, that would not have been the right choice. But anyway, I always knew I wanted to be a mom. And even like my brother, he's 10 years older than me, and he has 4 kids. Most of you know that. But he would have, 5 now. But at the time he had 4. He would have trusted me at 10 years old to watch his kids because I was just a natural at it, And I was like that. I'm like that with Ellie. I'm like that with pretty much all kids. It just comes naturally to me. And not trying to toot my horn, but anyway. So I always knew that's what I wanted to be, was a mom. And as I got older, I had some trouble with my cycles. I would be laying in the bed at night and it was awful. Like I'd have to sleep with towels underneath me, and it was awful. Mom even went to the point of buying me a specific kind of underwear because it was so awful. And like home basketball games, I dreaded them because I was wearing a white uniform. And I had to change a couple of times. Larry White looked at me like I was crazy. But anyway, he gave me a new pair of shorts and we went on. But I remember just having a terrible time with it. So me and Mom decided to talk to my family doctor. And the answer to that most of the time is birth control to, regulate you out. Just so you knew kind of when it was going to happen and, you could prepare for it. But I never knew the issue. I knew there was something going on, but I didn't know what it was. So he gave me some birth control, and I took it for a long, long time. And I tell everybody nowadays when they're talking about putting their little girl on birth control, I'm like, that is the devil. Like, I know that it helped me at the time, but I'm like, that was awful. Because I feel like it really, messed with me. And when Casey and I got married, we weren't necessarily ready to have kids, but I knew I wanted to stay on it for a little while, but I kind of wanted to get off of it because my body needed that adjusting. Because it takes, some of the things those birth controls do to you make you crazy. And your body will do crazy things. And I knew I wanted to get off of it and get my body adjusted for when we decided we were ready for kids. So I got off of it. And my cycle stopped. And I was like, okay, that's weird. I didn't know you were cycling, whatever. So 6 months, I let 6 months go by I thought, well, it's getting out of my body. Maybe it's just taking some time or whatever. Never had anything happen. Went 6 months with no cycle. So I was finally like, okay, I need to go see my lady doctor. And I met a true angel. My doctor, if anybody's looking for a doctor, she's awesome. And I've told Jessica that many, many times. I'm like, she's wonderful. She's an angel. But I went to see her, and of course she done some blood work, and she diagnosed me with PCOS. And that's polycystic ovarian syndrome. I'm sure most of you have heard it before, but I've heard horror stories about it. About, hey, about how you have so much trouble having kids, and people who've had it aren't able to have kids, or they had to have in vitro, or all that stuff. Anything, I've heard it all. Because I am the world's worst. The devil is in my ear all the time, saying, well, this and this, you're going to have to spend and this is going to happen, and you're just not going to be able to have kids after all these years of wanting kids. It's not going to happen for you because you have PCOS. And so she decided to put me on some medicine to get everything kick-started back up, and so I was crushed because I'd heard all those horror stories. A girl that we worked with at the time, she had one baby, and they tried for another one. Well, then she got diagnosed with PCOS, so they decided they weren't going to have any more because it was going to be too hard for them. So I was thinking back at all those stories, and you hear a lot of that now. Everybody having PCOS, like there's a lot of people with it. But anyway, so when I got diagnosed with that, I was just crushed. I spent so many nights just tore all to pieces. Well, then July rolls around, and this is nothing toward her. Everybody knows to this day that I love her to death and would do anything for her. But my sister finds out she's pregnant in July, and I'm like, I will never forget her face. She was like squalling, trying to tell me that she was pregnant. And after I just found out in June that I didn't know if I'd even be able to have a kid, or if it was going to be hard or whatever. And she did not want to tell me that she was having a baby. And like I said, I wouldn't trade them for the world. Y'all can probably know that if you know me, that I'm crazy about them. But she finds out she's pregnant, and of course you can't help but question why. Like, why is this happening to me? Why at this time, whenever I did, why is it so hard? So through the months of this new medicine that my doctor put me on, which is metformin, and if you've never taken metformin, it's awful. Like, it'll make you stay in the bathroom, or it just, like, I think, personally, I don't know this for sure, but I think my blood sugar has always been kind of low, period. And that's actually a diabetic medicine. So I think it was making my sugar drop that much more. And I just felt awful on it. Like, it was not the thing for me. But I tried to take it. So as I was taking this medicine, we were going through doctor's appointments with my sister, because she always scheduled them on Mondays when I was off work, because I wanted to go eat. If we were going to Cookville, I wanted to go eat with them.
Absolutely, Tom.
Before we even left the house, I'm like, where are we eating at today? But we were going through doctor's appointments, baby showers, people like, oh, it's going to be your turn next. When are you having one? And in the back of your mind, you're like, I would love to slap you. And people didn't mean it that way. They just wanted to know, well, she's having one, when are you going to have one? Why are y'all waiting so long, And that's a hard question to get asked about. But through this time, my friend Kristen and I decided we were going to go to the Amish doctor. And y'all, that doctor, it's so crazy. They just look in your eyes and tell you what's wrong with you. And which it still blows my mind. But one of the things that, he was spot on. I didn't tell him anything when I went in there. I would just sat down. He's like, well, you have cysts on your ovaries. And I was like, whoa. I was blown away. And he asked me another couple questions. He said, when did you have a miscarriage? And I was like, I don't know that I have. But in that moment, it kind of gave me some hope. Oh, maybe I can. Maybe I can have a kid. If I've been pregnant before and lost it, first of all, I didn't have a clue. But as I looked back, I remember one day having a lot of pain. I didn't know what it was. I just thought it was a cyst rupturing or something. But anyway, that kind of gave me a little bit of hope that one day I would have one, because like I said, I thought everything in the world that I would never have one. And so after visiting this Amish doctor, he wrote down all the things I needed to take. I was so desperate to get pregnant Y'all, I spent over $600 on herbs. I was taking these herbs, I was shooting them like, I'd mix them all together with Gatorade, I was shooting them back.
And gagging, as I was there watching her.
Jessica would she would be smelling it, and she's like,
she's like, this orange juice didn't make it taste that bad. I'm like, oh no, I can't.
It was so bad. But I just was so tore up about getting pregnant and having a kid that I just dropped that money. And my friend Kristen on the same page. But I know we are crazy. We're just going crazy. But anyway, through all that, so like I said, so desperate, and I was continuously seeing pregnancy announcements on Facebook. Like, you're so excited for them, but you're just like, it's like a punch in the throat, in the gut, whatever. That's not you. Like all my friends, like Lex, they told us, and I was so excited for them, but I'm like, why can't our kids grow up, but little did I know, but, anyway, like I said, I was constantly seeing stuff on Facebook and people telling me, I work in a beauty salon. I should say we're the first to hear, but most of the time we're the last to hear, believe it or not, but you hear about so-and-so being pregnant and so-and-so being pregnant or whatever. But I just put on my happy face and went on because that's just who I am, I guess, as a person. I remember seeing a meme on Facebook. I'm all the time seeing stuff on Facebook, but it said, until it's my turn, I will sit back and clap for others. And that meme pops up on I don't know if it's a meme, a little picture pops up on my memories that I shared all the time. And I continuously screenshot it and share it or send it to Kason because he was all the time saying, we're going to be fine, it's coming, it's coming. But one specific announcement that really hit me hard, I read, and it's just like one of those things, like you see it and you're like, you question yourself, you're like, why them? Because if they're not taking care of their kid, why is he giving them a kid and not me? Like, and I remember one night I sat down in the bathtub and I was just squalling, like it just was all over me. I could not control myself. And Kason knew where I was at because I had just showed him about that announcement. He came in there, I was sitting in the tub naked, and he comes in there and just grabs me and hugs me and starts crying with me. He's like, it's gonna be fine, we're gonna be fine. But let me look back at my notes. But Kason would always, anytime we'd be around somebody or somebody would tell us they were having a baby or something, he would always look at me first before he would react because he knew it was crushing me. Like, not that I wasn't happy for other people, because I was tickled. And I know you're not supposed to be jealous and you're not supposed to question, so I tried not to do any of that. But finally, in March of 2021, I made an appointment with a fertility specialist. And I know sometimes people are like, if God wants you to have a baby, he's going to give you a baby. But I also believe God put that knowledge and sent those people to do that for a reason. And I wanted to get the testing done. They, of course, told me I had PCOS, which I knew. The Amish doctor already looked in my eyes and told me that. What do you mean? But they, of course, done more blood work, ultrasounds, all the testing. The next step was a procedure where they flushed my tubes out. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of that, but it's not pleasant. Miss Debbie, have you heard of that before? I know we've talked about that before. They flushed my tubes and to make sure that nothing was blocking them, helping me, to get pregnant or whatever. And $3,000 later, y'all, I got to tell you a side story about this. So me and Kason had been saving money and putting it into our lockbox at the bank for this specific thing. because we were like, if it's gonna take this money, we're gonna start putting it back a little at a time. Well, me and Mom go to this appointment, and I was like, I gotta stop at the bank on the way there and get my money to pay them. We got in there, and they told me my total was like $2,800, $2,900, something like that. I pulled that money out. It was a wad of cash this big. Mom's like, put that up. I will pay for it. You give me that money. So I hand her this wad of cash, and she swaps her credit card, or debit card, or whatever it was. I was, like, I'm sure they sell stuff like that all the time. Anyway, I thought that was funny.
They probably thought this one really not bad.
But I found out $3,000 later that was not the issue. My tubes were fine. There was nothing blocking them. But then it's Cason's turn. And believe it or not, Cason did not complain, not one time. He did complain about the chair he had to sit in, but we won't talk about that. But he knew that I had been poked and ultrasound, and I mean, so much blood work. I remember the first or second time I went there, they drew my blood here, and here twice, because they could not get get a stick. But anyway, he knew that I had been through the ringer and that it was his turn. He only had to do that one thing, and he better suck it up. But so he never said, he never said anything, and he was good with it. But we went through all that, and they drew us up a plan. If you've never been to a place like that, they draw you up a plan and give you these options. They pretty much, if you want to pay this much, or this much, this is your options, And one of the options was, take more medication, take all these vitamins. One of them was IUI, which is what they pretty much do is take his part, make it better, make it work, and put it back into me. And then the next step was the most expensive, whatever. And I was like, maybe we should just do that. But it was not like it was like a 70s, I can't remember what the percentage was that it would even work. So Cason's like, let's just keep taking the medicine, the cheaper side. And so let's just keep taking the medicine and pray, everything's going to be okay. We're going to be fine. So we keep taking it. And when I tell you that stuff made me mean, I'm not kidding. There was one called, is it Clomid?
Mm-hmm. We took Clomid.
Anyway, one of them was Clomid that I took, and you take it, is it 3 days? Seems like it's been forever ago. For 3 days, 3 pills for 3 days. 3 pills a day for 3 days. I think that's how it is. But anyway, those 3 days, Cason knew to stay out of my path. I was meaner than a rattlesnake. Like, anything he done drove me nuts. Like, he could not chew his food sitting beside me because I'm like, can you please hush? Like, I was meaner than a snake, and we were finally like, that's enough, cannot do it, we gotta take a break, like nothing was joyous for us. Like, we had to be on a strict schedule. They pretty much told us at that doctor, like, you have to time it out absolutely perfect, because what his issue was, sorry Cason if you hear this, things were not like lasting long enough. His were dying too fast before they made a baby, and so we had to time it out absolutely perfect before we could get pregnant. So anyway, we decided to keep taking that medicine, blah, blah, blah. And we kept telling ourselves, all we want, like, why is this not happening? Like, we've done this, and this. Why is this not happening for us? And we just want a kid. That's all we want. We want a kid. And in the middle of that is what God gave us. He, pretty much said, slapped me in the face. Like, this is why you've not had a kid. You have to raise this kid that you're about to get. And he's like, calm down. Like, there's a reason I've not gave you a baby yet. And in May of 2021, we got a phone call. I'll never forget where we were. We're at Kaysen's my niece, her graduation. And someone told us we needed to come. Jeff had a wreck, which is Kaysen's stepdad. Jeff had a wreck. We need to come get Kelby. We had no idea. Kaysen's like, Jeff had a wreck? What do you mean? He drove a truck for a living. Like, he's like the perfect driver. Like, what in the world? We'll get further on down the road, and I get another phone call, and they're like, Hannah, are you with Kaysen? And I'm like, yes, we're on our way to meet y'all at the bank, to go to the hospital. And she's like, well, he's not made it. He had a massive heart attack, and that's what caused him to wreck. And I immediately tell Kaysen to pull the truck over, and he's screaming at me to tell him what is going on. And he pulls the truck over, and I will never, ever forget his face and his reaction. And if you don't know Kaysen, he lost his mom in 2017, and then his stepdad here in 2021. So, and he's got a little brother he's 16 now, but so looking back, I'm like, that's exactly why he didn't give us a baby, because he knew that we're going to have to step up for this kid. We're what he's got left. He's got more family, but we're his close family. Like, that's, what he's got left. So through all this, selfishly, I was like, well, we ain't gonna try for a baby now, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. Like, we're gonna have to wait a little while because we got a lot on our plate. It was not the time to bring that up, but in the middle of all that was literally when that happened, that was one of the days that I was taking my medicine. It was making me ovulate. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just took that medicine. Like, this is a, wasted time, which was fine. I don't mean it to sound like that. Kaysen's like, no, the more the merrier. Bring on the baby. And I'm like, oh my goodness. But he insisted we keep trying or whatever. And so we continued to try for a few months until I finally decided that my body physically needed a break. Plus my mind mentally needed a break, because I was literally letting it consume me. Like, I was thinking about a kid all the time, wanting a child. And there's no telling how much money I spent on ovulation tests and pregnancy tests and everything else. And I had used up the majority of them. And when we decided to take a break from everything, during this time, Kelby was testing us, to say the least. His grades were slipping. His attitude was just, he was testing us to see how we were going to parent him. Because after his mom passed away, him and Jeff kind of had a little bachelor pad going at their house. They kind of just done whatever he, of course, when it watched his grades and stuff, but like they just kind of done their own thing, as you would expect, and it's hard to discipline a kid that had lost his mom, like he didn't want to make him mad or, whatever, so he didn't really have he just had a hard time disciplining, his kid Maggie, she is fine. I'm used to this.
Well, I'm thinking
no, she is fine. I see you.
Somebody else is talking that she needs to be learned.
It's okay, girl. You talk to me. But anyway, like I said, during this time, Kelby was like really testing us, and anytime like I would take his phone away, he would use I'm just having a hard time, I'm really sad. And I tried not to be so whatever that I come off as mean, but I just knew that Kaysen was falling into the I had to step up and be like his mama. I don't know if y'all knew Kaysen's mom or not, but she would not have let that fly. Like, you leave a dirty fork in her sink, and she was coming to get you and drag you out of that bedroom until you put it in that dishwasher, because she was just that kind of person. And I knew as his mom figure that I had to be that person, because Kason was a still cool big brother, you know, like that. I wanted him to continue to be able to be that, unless, you know, he ran all over me and then he had to step up. But anyway, I remember telling one of my clients one day that when we were sitting in the shop, I was just going on and on about, like, why is he testing me so hard? Like, he is about to drive me nuts. Like, he has got a 32 in math. I don't know if that's the right number or not, but like, why? What is going on? Like, he's not applying himself. And I said, the Lord is testing me. He's teaching me to have some patience before he gives me a baby. Like, I know that's what it is. So after about 2 months of us just enjoying ourselves and not, I mean, don't get me wrong, I just still thought about it because I was crazy about it, but we just done our own thing, and we just I guess, focused on Kelby, you know, because that's what we had laid in front of us, so we were just going with it, and I tried not to stress over everything. This huge snow came, and I know you're thinking, where in the world does this come into the picture? But when I tell y'all, they projected the snow for days. I mean, I was fired up. Like, I was so excited for this snow. I was like, we are going sledding. Like, I had told my dad time and time and time again, I was like, I'm buying us a new sled. Me and my coworker went and got a sled together at the co-op. Like, me and Cynthia went and bought us a new sled because we were fired up about the snow we were getting. And
For days, we heard about it.
yes, like I told my dad, I was like, we are going sledding. But anyway, after that snow came, I was sitting in the recliner case and we were outside working on his truck doing something, and I just kind of felt funny. I don't know, just something, I don't know, I just felt weird, not like myself. And I don't know if any of y'all ever struggle with this same issue or not, but one of the things that they tell you about when you're ovulating is your body temperature is a little bit higher. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm ovulating on my own. Like, I ain't took this medicine in 2 months. I'm ovulating on my own. So I'm marching there in my little closet, and I find one more like one of the good ovulation tests. And I took it, and it was like a blinking smiley face. And I literally just been talking to my friend Kenzie here about me ovulating. I was like, how long is normal? She's like, oh, just a couple days, you know, however long it was. And I said, okay, well, you know, whatever. And I had remembered I had just been talking to her that week before that I was already ovulating. And I was like, well, that is so weird. So I go to the little closet again, and I'm like, oh, there was 2 little bitty cheap pregnancy tests in there. As cheap as you can get, besides the Dollar General.
I think they were the ones that I brought you in a dollar store bag.
Probably so. Probably so.
Here.
But anyway, I was like, what the heck? You know, I'll take these, you know. Probably be a negative, because that's what I was used to. You know, I was used to that. Honey, before I could even turn my head around, there was 2 lines popped up on that thing. I was like, I did not know what to do. I was squalling my eyes out. Well, like I said, there was a huge snow come, so I go out there in a casing. I put my muck boots on, put my big old jacket on, carefully walked down the steps because I was pregnant. And I took it real easy because my steps get really slick. But carefully walked out there to casing, turned his heater, that one of those big blow heaters that's super loud and you can't, we're literally screaming at each other when we're trying to talk. I turned it off. He's like, "Why are you turning that off for?" And I was like, Kason, literally, I have a video of this and I can play it for y'all. I would hope y'all believe me when I tell you this, but I said, we need to pray, and we need to pray right now that this sticks. He's like, are you ovulating? And I said, no. And I throw him on him. He said, have you took an expensive one yet? And I said, no, if the cheap ones are showing positive, I'm pregnant. And so he still was like, you know, we did not know what to do with ourselves. And so the next day, we bundle up and go to the Walmart. sliding all over the place and get more tests. We bought 7. I took 5 of them just to make sure that we were pregnant. And Kinsey, believe it, okay, I was tore all to pieces because I was literally texting Kinsey and was like, how long, remember I was texting her saying, how long did you ovulate? Now, I literally texted her and said, Kinsey. And she said, what? I sent her the picture of the test. She said, oh my gosh, have you told me? And I said, no, I haven't. I gotta go do that right now. But anyway.
I'm pretty sure everyone on Small Road heard me. Sounds like, what's your problem? I'm like,
the Lord literally just wanted me to trust His plan. Like, He knew that I needed to calm down and realize that I'm not the one in control. He is the one in control. He has a plan for you, everybody in this whole room. Like, everything happens for a reason. I'm a firm believer in that. But
sledding wasn't part of the plan.
Sledding was not part of the plan, so that bursted my bubble on that. I was happy with what I got, and I didn't get to sled. But anyway, but you can never question it, no matter how hard things are, because there were many nights that I squalled, and I mean, I'll never forget, the nights literally sit in the bathtub. I would go in there just to cry. I'm like, I'm gonna go take a bath, and I just go in there to cry. So, because that was my getaway. But anyway, like I said, there's a plan for everybody. Don't question it. Keep praying about it, and He'll give you exactly what you need. Exactly what you need. And now I've got a 16-year-old and a 6-month-old. So, but I'm going to continue on with our devotional for the night. That's my story. Thanks, Tori, for volunteering for me for that. But I gave y'all all little papers, so in case you didn't bring your Bible. I know we had a couple nights that people didn't have their Bible, but I'm going to volunteer somebody to read we're going to skip the first one and go to Jeremiah 29:11. So, Tori, do you want to read that one?
Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you, not to harm you, plans to give you hope in the future.
I just kind of, sum that up and tell from, I don't know. It just tells us how God ultimately does have a plan for us, even though we sometimes don't understand them. He does have a plan, even though, like we said, we don't understand it. He's got a plan for us. Haley, do you want to read Isaiah 55:8-9?
Really, bro? For my thoughts are not your thoughts, nor are my ways your ways, says the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts higher than your thoughts.
This one just tells us that His ways are literally higher than our ways. Anytime we begin to question Him, He has a way of showing us how in control He is. Like me, for instance, I wanted a baby so bad, and He told me, He's like, you're going to calm down because here's your baby right now. You can have your baby, later on. But sometimes we think we've hit rock bottom, and that's when I guess the best things happen, this one makes me look back to Abraham and Sarah were 99 and 90 years old when God told them they were going to have a son, and Sarah literally laughed at him. Little did she know that she would have Isaac would have Jacob would have 12 sons, and then through Egyptian bondage and a period of 430 years, that family of 2 would turn into a family of 2.5 million people. So sometimes we have a blessing coming, but it just takes us a while to get there. That's just something, I just think that's really, really cool.
And sometimes you won't even see it in this lifetime.
Right.
Like Abraham didn't see all the generations.
Exactly. Raina, do you want to read the next one?
Sure. Philippians 4:6. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God.
And this one just goes back to I tried to pick stuff that was going to go with my story, but just tells us to be anxious for nothing and just don't worry about it. You know, that's the devil trying to make you worry and overthink, and you know, just don't worry. All right, let's do Lanita. Do you want to read the next one?
Romans 8:28, and we know that all things work together for the good to those who love God, to those who are called according to His purpose.
This one just tells us that all things work together for good to those that love the Lord. The Lord knows our needs better than we do. We may question and complain, but most of the time if we be honest and look back, it wasn't the right time to receive that blessing. Reflecting back to my story, I thought that I was ready for a kid at the time, and we would have been fine, don't get me wrong, but we had just so much line up after the fact. Like, Kason got a better job. We got, first Kason got a better job, and Kelby come along, and we got kind of adjusted in our teeny tiny cracker box house. But that's another thing. We're finally getting into a new house because we've outgrown it. But anyway, it just kind of lined up, and that just goes to show you that, if we look back, it wasn't the right time that we needed it, and he knew that. We just got to trust his judgment and assessment of time. And this is one of her favorite verses, so I'm going to let Mom read the next one.
Ecclesiastes 3:1-8. To everything there is a season, a time and purpose for everything under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck what is planted. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to gain and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to throw away. A time to tear and a time to sow. A time to keep silence and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time of war and a time of peace.
So this one I just have down that this tells us that there is a time for everything. To keep the faith and know that your time is coming. So, and I think that may be her favorite verse because it's on her favorite movie too, Footloose. But anyway, and I'll go back to the first one. I've got a little handout for everybody. I'll get Jessica, you want to read the Matthew 17:20?
Oh, the first one?
The very first one.
Yeah. So Jesus said to them, because of your unbelief, for assuredly I say to you, if you have faith as a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you.